The topic which we are going to discuss today is the type of computer networks. It has been covered in Unit 2 of the syllabus Fundamental of Computer and Emerging Technology. So basically, what is a network? We could say that a network, it consists of two or more computers that are linked in order to share certain resources. These resources, they could be your printers, they could be your files, anything, and they allow the electronic communication. That is, if we are having two systems, let's suppose 2 or 3 systems, and if they are connected, then we say that it is a network. The computers on a network may be linked through cables, telephone lines, radio waves, satellites, or infrared light beams. Depending upon the distance between the nodes, we could have different medium through which these systems or nodes can be connected among themselves. It could be your cables, it could be your radio waves, if we talk about the wireless, satellites, and infrared light beams also. Depending on various perspectives, we have different classification of the networks. Based on the transmission medium, that is what kind of medium we are using to connect the devices to form a network, it could be your wired, it could be wireless. When we say wired, it could be your UTP, it could be your coaxial cables, fiber optic cables. But when we talk about the wireless, then in the case of the wireless, it could be your radio waves, it could be your satellites, it could be your infrared beams. Another categorization criteria is on the basis of network size, that is how large the network is, and on the basis of this we are having LAN, WAN, MAN, and other categories which we are going to discuss today is PAN and CAN. Based on the management method, that is how the communication is being taken place between sender and receiver nodes, it could be your peer-to-peer communication or it could be your client-server communication. On the basis of the topology, that is how the nodes have been interconnected among themselves, it is your topology. Then that is on the basis of the connectivity, we are having bus, star, and ring, and so on. We are having mesh topology also, hybrid, and there are other categories also when we say when we categorize the network on the basis of topology. The first category which we are going to discuss is on the basis of the size, that is how large the geographical area is covered by the network. And on the basis of this, we are having LAN, MAN, WAN, and PAN. LAN, that is local area network. When the area is very small, your metropolitan area network, it is somewhat larger than local area network but smaller than wide area network. Then we are having the personal area network. So basically, what is your LAN, that is local area network? We could say it is a network that is used for communicating among computer devices, usually within an office building or home. That is generally, it is you could say area is very small in the case of the LAN. LANs enable the sharing of the resources such as files or the hardware devices that may be needed by the multiple users. It is limited in size, typically spanning a few hundred meters and not more than a mile. It is fast. Speed is generally ranging from 10 Mbps to 10 Gbps. Requires little wiring since the area is very small, typically a single cable connecting to all the devices. It is has lower maintenance cost as compared to your MAN and WAN networks. It can be either wired or wireless. So, twisted pairs, fiber optics, they can be used in the case of wired LANs. Every LAN uses a protocol. What is a protocol? It is a set of rules basically that governs how the packets are configured and transmitted. What is a packet? When you are sending a message from sender to receiver node, then whatever data you are sending, it is broken down into smaller fragments, and these fragments are known as packets, which we are sending over the network. These packets generally, they are divided into three parts. The first part is your header, then your message, and then the trailer. Header and trailer, basically they are acting as the control units which are deciding that is how your packet is flowing over the network, and who is the sending node, who is the receiving node, at which port number the packet is going to be received, and so on. So all the information related to the communication has been embedded inside this packet. So nodes in a LAN, they are linked together with a certain topology. That is how the interconnectivity is being done in the LAN. It could be a bus, ring, or star. LANs, they are very capable of very high transmission rates, as we have seen earlier. So this is just a simple example of a LAN. Here we are having various nodes. They are connected among themselves. And this, if you look at the figure, this is the example of a wired network. What are the examples? That is network inside the student computer room, or inside a department of an office, or inside your home. What are the advantages of LAN? Speed is very good. It is less costly as compared to your MAN and WAN. Maintenance cost is also less in the case of as we compare it with LAN with MAN and WAN. Security, since it is only covering a small area, so we could have a very secure LAN which could be operating within the within a particular organization. You could send internal email, that is on the LAN. We could have the internal servers, and through these internal servers, they are basically used for having internal communication among the various departments of office. Resource sharing, it could be done very easily when the systems are connected over the LAN. But it is having disadvantages also. It is quite expensive to install since the area is small, but still we need all the equipments and other things which we need to install a LAN within a office. It requires administrative time, that is, although the area is very small, we are saying it is covering only a small office, but still you need a administrative network admin team which is going to cover all the maintenance part of your network. Sometimes if you are having a file server connected on a LAN, then it might fail. Cable, if the cable got breakdown, then in that case sometimes the whole LAN, it got affected. Another category is your MAN, that is Metropolitan Area Network. It is a large computer network that usually spans a city or a large campus. Now its area is bigger than your LAN, but is still smaller than your WAN. So it is optimized for a larger geographical area than a LAN, ranging from several blocks of buildings to entire cities. A MAN might be owned and operated by a single organization, but it usually will be used by many individuals and organizations. It depends upon what kind of MAN you want to construct. It often acts as a high-speed network to allow the sharing of the regional resources. Basically, when you want a closed communication within an organization and the offices of the organization, it might be spread out on different locations within a city, then you cannot have LAN in that case. LAN can be within the particular site office of that organization, but to connect all those offices and for having an internal communication, you should have a MAN. So a MAN typically covers an area between 5 to 50 kilometer in diameter. For example, your telephone company network that provides a high speed DSL to customers. Cable TV networks, they can come under the category of MAN. So if you look at the figure, this is a small metropolitan area network covering a city, and based on the cable TV cable network. So here we are having you could say the operator, and we are having a server which is connected over the internet. For receiving the information, we are having the antenna over here, and these are the different areas. You could say this is my area 1, this is my area 2, this is my area 3, and these areas, they are connected. You could say they are having LAN over here. So this, I could say this is LAN 1, which is covering all the connecting all the your equipments in area in A1 area. Here also this is LAN 2. Here we are having LAN 3, and to have a communication among all these areas, we need a connectivity between these LANs. So when we connect them, it becomes your MAN in this case. The next category is the wide area network. It covers a large geographic area such as country, continent, or even whole of the world. So we could say it is 2 or more LANs which are connected together, and the LANs can be many miles apart in this case. To cover greater distances, WAN may transmit data over leased high-speed phone lines or wireless links, for example, satellites. Generally, for the wireless area network, when we are connecting various LANs or MANs, which are many miles apart, then in that case, we go for the satellite communication. Multiple LANs, they can be connected together using devices. Here, when we are connecting multiple LAN or MAN, then they are connected through bridges, routers, or gateways, which enable them to share the data. The world's most popular WAN, internet, is another example where we are having multiple LANs or MANs which are connected together to form a super highway of the information. So this is a simple figure which is showing your wide area network. So if we say wide area network, so I am having the LAN maybe in country C1. This may be the network in country C2. This may be the network in another country. This is another country, and they are interconnected with each other. Now this particular network, it is acting as a subnet to provide the connectivity to all these locations, and these nodes, they are acting as a routers over here. And from for example, this is my sender and this is my receiver node. So this is on this particular country, sender is sitting in this particular country. Now it is sending the information. This information is, for example, is that packet, it got caught by the router. Let's suppose this is R1. Now this router, it is having internal tables which is deciding where to send this packet next, which node is the next node. So on the basis of the table, let's it decide that this is the next connected node, so it will send the packet to here. Now here, that is your router 2, it will take a decision that whether to send here, depending upon its internal table, it can decide. So here, let's suppose it send the data here, then your data will come here, and from here, the data will reach to the particular receiving end. So here we are having the sending host, we are having various routers within the subnet, and these routers, they are making the choice to forward the packets to other connected routers. The next category is your PAN, that is personal area network. It is a network that is used for communicating among computers and computer devices, including telephones in close proximity of around a few meters within a room. That is, for example, if you are having a room in your house where you are having automated or your smart devices, and these smart devices, they form a network, then this network is the personal area network. It can be both, it can be wired or wireless. So PAN is a computer network which is basically used for communicating among computer devices. And these devices, they could be your telephones, it could be your PDAs, it could be any, you could say, device which is connected to your body, for example, your smartwatch and other equipments, smart equipments which are present within that proximity. The devices may or may not belong to to the person in question. The reach of PAN is typically a few meters. For example, if you look, we are having a system, we are having a cordless phone, then we are having the printer and smart meters, etc. So a PAN is formed in this case. Another category is your campus area network. So campus area network is nothing but it is a interconnection of LAN with limited geographical area. The network equipments, for example, switches and routers, basically they are used for the transmission, and the medium, it could be your optical fiber and wireless too. Basically it is entirely owned by the campus owner. For example, the university, in universities we could have the campus area network. If you're going to some for historical building, for example a museum, then in that case maybe that museum is connecting to its internal, when you got connected with its internal network, then that is the example of the campus area network. So we have discussed all these. In the first one, that is this is the example of your PAN. Then we have seen the campus LAN. Here if you see, we are having the MAN, WAN and LAN. So these are the various. If we say we have started from here, when we have connected them, then we are having the your MAN, and above that we are having WAN. Now these two are the special categories of LAN, you could say, campus area network and the personal area network. So if we this table is showing the comparison between LAN, MAN and WAN. Owner of the network is private. In the WAN it is private or public. Similarly in the MAN it can be a private or public. Geographical area covered is small. In the case of WAN, very large. MAN, moderate. Design and maintenance is easy. Whereas in the case of the WAN and MAN, it's not easy. Communication medium in the case of LAN is coaxial cable. WAN, we need the satellite links for this. In the case of the MAN, we could have coaxial, PSTN, optical and wireless communication medium. Bandwidth in the case of LAN is low. In WAN, it is very high, and MAN, it is generally the moderate one. Data rate in the case of LAN is very high since the area is small. WAN, it is low, and in the case of the MAN, it is moderate. Now, this is a next category when we say wireless network. Wireless network, we could have the wireless LANs and wireless WANs. That is when we are having LAN and WAN and all the equipments, devices connected among themselves through wireless medium. Then we are having the wireless LAN and wireless WAN. So if you look at the figure A, then it is showing your Bluetooth configuration. That is with the help of Bluetooth. All these devices, they are interconnected among themselves. So this is one of the example of your wireless LAN. Here also, but in the case of this, we are having the devices. This is our base station. Now these the communication with the base station is with the help of the radio signals. Base station may be connected to other base station with the help of wired network. This is wireless network. In the first one figure is showing the individual mobile computers, one telephone call per computer, and here we are having the portable computer. In the case of a flying LAN can be formed where the router is installed within the aeroplane. So here we could have the flying LAN. On the basis of their component, that is how the communication is being taken place, we are having peer-to-peer network and client-server network. In the case of the server-based, one of the node is acting as a server, and all the devices, they are connected to this server. They are sending some request to the server. Server is performing doing the processing on the behalf of the client and then sending the result back to the client node. Whereas in the case of the P2P network, there is no server within the system. All the nodes, they can act as a client or server whenever there is a need. They can communicate, they are connected among themselves, and they can directly talk with each other. Whereas in the case of the server base, the nodes which are connected, the clients which are connected with the server, they cannot interact directly. They need the server in between to help them communicate. So in the case of the peer-to-peer network, each computer is responsible for making its own resources available to other computers on the network. Each computer is responsible for setting up and maintaining its own security for these resources. Also, each computer is responsible for assessing the required network resource from peer-to-peer relationships. Since there is no master and there is no slave, so all the maintenance part, all the security part, it comes within the node itself. Peer-to-peer network is generally useful for small network containing less than 10 computers on a single LAN. In peer-to-peer, sometimes we call it P2P. So in P2P, each computer can function both as the client and server. P2P do not have central control system since there is no server in that network, and they are amplified into home group. What are the advantages? Use less expensive computer hardware, easy to administer, no NOS, specific NOS required for this, more built-in redundancy, easy setup and low cost. What are the disadvantages? It is not very secure since all the security part is among the nodes itself. So if one of the node become malicious, then in that case the whole network got compromised. No central point of storage or file archiving because there is no server in this case. Additional load on computer because of resource sharing. Hard to maintain the version control in this case. If one of the node if let's say suppose few nodes got updated and few nodes are still under the updation, then in that case what will happen? Your network it will not, the information propagating over the network is not going to be consistent. Whereas in the case of the client server network, certain computers, they act as server and other act as clients. A server is simple a computer that available the network resources and provides service to other computers when they request. Whereas the client, it is the system that run a program that requests the service from a server. LAN is based on client-server network relationship. A client-server network is one in which all available network resources such as files, directories, applications and other devices, they are centrally managed and hosted by the server, and the client, they can only use it. In the case of the client server, all the maintenance security part, it comes with the server, within the server itself. So what are the advantages? It is very secure, better performance since the server is responsible for all the activities, so it is having a better performance. Centralized backup is possible in this case, and it is very reliable as compared to P2P. But what are the disadvantage? It requires the team which is going to be responsible for the server maintenance and security part. More hardware, it is more hardware intensive. More softwares they are required for the communication specific softwares, they are required to be installed on the server as well as on the client. Expensive dedicated softwares are required to work on the server so that server can facilitate the services to all the clients efficiently. We are having various kinds of servers on the type of the things they are going to store or the service they are going to provide. We are having various categories. For instance, file server, print server, application server, message server, database server. These are just a few names. File server, they are basically responsible for storing, retrieving and moving the data. A user can read, write, exchange and manage the files with the help of file server. Printer server, basically for controlling and managing the printing services on the network. It could sometimes fax services are also collaborated over there. In the case of the application server, your application related softwares and additional computing power can be shared by the computers in a network. In the case of the message server, it is used to coordinate the interaction between users, and we could share documents and applications over there. Database server, it is a type of application server, but it allows the users to access the centralized, strong database. This is all about the different categories which we have discussed so far in computer network. Thank you and Jai Hind.